Very good afternoon, children. Myself, L.K. Tripathi, SST teacher from LPM Public School, Gola Bazar, Gorakhpur. Dear students, today we are going to discuss about History Chapter 4, that is Tribals, Dikus, and the Vision of a Golden Age. This is important chapter for you to know the exact condition of the tribal people living in India in previous time and what type of life they led and what type of difficulties they faced in their life. You can say after establishment of British power, tribal people face a lot of problem as many restrictions were imposed over them by the British. They brought forest laws which was very much horrible for them. It was very much troublesome for them. They could not get anything from the forest since then. So, through discussion, we shall come to know exactly about the condition of the tribal people. In 1895, a man named Bisha was seen roaming the forests and villages of Chotanagpur in Jharkhand. No doubt Birsa Munda was a very brave tribal person who gathered his community against the British and fought very aggressively against the British power. He was the person of Chota Nagpur, that is in Jharkhand. People said he had miraculous powers. He could cure all diseases and multiply grain. Means he had divine power, it is said. He was purely Vaishnavite, extremely believed in God and goddesses. He was pure vegetarian. Also, he taught his community not to take or not to eat non-veg and be Vaishnavite, faith in God, thus pray the God, worship the God. He has miraculous powers, no doubt about that. Any kind of disease he could cure from his hand and his own power. Also, he could multiply grains. Birsa himself declared that God had appointed him to save his people from trouble, free them from the slavery of Dikkus. Dikkus means outsiders. Soon thousands began following Birsa, believing that he was Bhagwan and had come to solve all their problems. In very short time, people started believing over Birsa. They said him just like God. He also taught the people that the God has sent him to save the people from the Dikkus means outsiders. जो लोग भी बाहर से आते हैं उनसे बचाने के लिए ईश्वर ने ही हमको यहाँ पर भेजा है. सारी स्लेवरी से मुक्त करने के लिए भगवान ने हमको यहाँ पर भेजा है, ऐसा उसने जो है लोगों को मैसेज दिया. Soon thousands began following Birsa. Birsa was born in a family of Mundas, a tribal group that lived in Chotanagpur. He belonged from the Munda community, that is the community of Chotanagpur, that is in Jharkhand. But his followers included other tribals of the region, Santhals and Orans. Not only Mundas, but also Santhals and Orans were also joining with him. All of them in different ways were unhappy with the changes they were experiencing and the problems they were facing under British rule. Their familiar ways of life seemed to be disappearing. Their livelihoods were under threat and their religion appeared to be in danger. What problems did Birsa set out to resolve? Who were the outsiders being referred to as Bhikkhus? किस तरह के प्रॉब्लम को सेट आउट किया बिरसा ने रिजॉल्व करने के लिए? कौन से आउटसाइडर थे जिनको दिक्कुश कहता था, और हाउ डिड दे इंस्लेव द पीपल ऑफ द रीजन, और कैसे इस रीजन में जो है लोगों को उन लोगों ने गुलाम बनाया हुआ था? व्हाट वाज हैपनिंग टू द ट्राइबल पीपल अंडर द ब्रिटिश? ब्रिटिश के शासन में ट्राइबल्स के साथ और किस तरह की घटनाएं होती थी? हाउ डिड देयर लाइफ चेंज? These are some of the questions you will read about in this chapter. All such types of questions are there which you will read in this chapter ahead. You have read about tribal societies last year. Most tribes had customs and rituals that were very different from those laid down by Brahmins. These societies also did not have the sharp social divisions that were characteristic of caste societies. All those who belonged to the same tribe thought of themselves as sharing common ties of kinship. However, this did not mean that there were no social and economic differences within tribes. How did tribal groups live? ट्राइबल ग्रुप्स कैसे रहता था? By the 19th century, tribal people in different parts of India were involved in a variety of activities. Some were dhoom cultivators. Some of them practiced dhoom cultivation, that is shifting cultivation. This was done on small patches of land, mostly in forest. The cultivators cut the tree tops to allow sunlight to reach the ground and burn the vegetation on the land to clear it for cultivation. They spread the ash from the firing, which contained potash to fertile the soil. They used the axe to cut trees and the hoe to scratch the soil in order to prepare it for cultivation. They broadcast the seeds, that is, scatter the seeds on the field instead of plowing the land and sowing the seeds. Once the crop was ready and harvested, they moved to another field. A field that had been cultivated once was left fallow for several years. Shifting cultivators were found in the hilly and forested tracts of northeast and central India. The lives of these tribal people depended on free movement within forests and on being able to use the land and forest for growing their crops. That is the only way they could practice shifting cultivation. Some were hunters and gatherers. In many regions, tribal groups lived by hunting animals and gathering forest produce. They saw forest as essential for survival. The Khons were such a community living in the forest of Odisha. They regularly went out on collective hunts and they divided the meat amongst themselves. They ate fruits and roots collected from the forest and cooked food within the oil they extracted from the seeds of the sal and mahua. They used many forest shrubs and herbs for medicinal purposes and sold forest produce in the local markets. The local weavers and leather workers turned to the fonts when they needed supplies of kusum and palas flowers to color their cloths and leather. From where did these forest people get their supplies of rice and other grains? At times, they exchanged goods, getting what they needed in return for their valuable forest produce. At other times, they brought goods with the small amount of earnings they had. Some of them did odd jobs in the villages, carrying loads or building roads, while others labored in the fields of peasants and farmers. When supplies of forest produce shrank, tribal people had to increasingly wander around in search of work as laborers. But many of them, like the Begas of central India, were reluctant to do work for others. The Begas saw themselves as people of the forest who could only live on the produce of the forest. It was below the dignity of a Baiga to become a laborer. Tribal groups often needed to buy and sell in order to be able to get the goods that were not produced within the locality. This led to their dependence on traders and moneylenders. Traders came around with things for sale and sold the goods at high prices. Moneylenders gave loans with which the tribals met their cash needs, adding to what they earned, but the interest charged on the loans was usually very high. So for the tribals, market and commerce often meant debt and poverty. They therefore came to see the moneylenders and traders as evil outsiders and the cause of their misery. Some herded animals. कौन थे ये लोग? Many tribal groups lived by herding and rearing animals. They were pastoralists who moved with their herds of cattle or sheep according to the seasons. When the grass in one place was exhausted, they moved to another area. The one Gujars of the Punjab hills and the Lambadis of Andhra Pradesh were cattle herders. The Gadis of Kullu were shepherd and the Bakarwals of Kashmir reared goats. You will read more about them in your history book next year. Some took to settle cultivation. कुछ लोग settled cultivation में अपने आप को engage किए. कौन थे? Even before the 19th century, many from within the tribal groups had begun settling down and cultivating their fields in one place year after year. Instead of moving from place to place. They began to use the plow and gradually got rights over the land they lived on. In many cases, like the Mundas of Sultanapur, the land belonged to the clan as a whole. All members of the clan were regarded as descendants of the original settlers who had first cleared the land. Therefore, all of them had rights on the land. Very often, some people within the clan acquired more power than others. Some became chiefs and others followers. Powerful men often rented out their land instead of cultivating it themselves. British officials saw settled tribal groups like the Gonds and Santals as more civilized than hunter gatherers or shifting cultivators. Those who lived in the forest were considered to be wild and savage. They needed to be settled and civilized. How did colonial rule affect tribal lives? The lives of tribal groups changed during British rule. Let us see what these changes were. This we shall discuss in the coming time. Till then, goodbye and good luck.